Texas' cold, wet winter. His troops had already been decimated by sickness before Houston's embittered men suddenly turned with a vengeance and drove them reeling into the mud of Buffalo Bayou, where the carnage wrought upon them was horrendous. In an attempt to escape, Santa Anna donned the nondescript uniform of a common soldier, but was captured and brought trembling before the wounded Sam Houston. Most of the Texans wanted to hang him then and there, but Houston counseled peace. Dead, Santa Anna could sign no treaties. Alive, he could, and did, acknowledge that Texas was free. And now, Massacre at Goliad.
Chapter 1. In his later years, Joshua Buckalew seldom spoke of Goliad and the terrible thing which happened there. Even in his old age, there were nights when the memory returned in a dream, and he would wake up suddenly with the cold sweat breaking, the horror as vivid as it had been in his youth. Yet there was fierce pride in the memory, too. For Joshua Buckalew ever afterward considered himself one of the original Texans. He had been a witness to the birth of Texas, at Bear and Goliad, and on the marsh-bound prairie of San Jacinto. So as each of his sons came of age to understand, and later his grandsons, he would tell them the story that they might share his pride in their heritage, and that they might realize and value the awful sacrifice other men had made for Texas. Always, he began the story long before Goliad. He began it where it had begun for him, one early spring day in Tennessee. I could have whipped the Kiefer brothers without even breaking a sweat, provided I took them one at a time. But the two together were a mite of excess. They had me staggering in the dust of the crossroads where Gailey's Grocery dispensed everything from harness leather and red calico to raw corn spirits in a jug. Dogs barked, men and boys cheered and whooped and stood back to give us room. Entertainment was scarce in those parts. A horse race occasionally, a shooting match, a barn raising, or a dance. A good fist fight was usually certain to stir the betting blood. But nobody was betting this time. They could tell that I was fixing to get my plow cleaned, good and proper. I was 21 then, 5'11" and tough as mulehide. But that wasn't enough. I kept lashing out with my fists at Smiley Kiefer and trying with my elbows to knock loose from Snag Kiefer's heavy weight on my back. Snag clung like a burr under a pants leg. I puffed, the breath coming hard. "This ain't no ways a fair fight. I didn't go to fight the both of you. You got us anyhow." Snag tried to sink his teeth into my ear. I shifted my weight and threw Snag off balance, sliding him onto his back in the dust. I landed with both knees in Snag's belly. I turned to see where Smiley was and caught a faceful of his fist. These were plowmen, the Kiefers, and a plowman's fists are as hard as a hickory knot. I saw my brother Thomas edge through the crowd. "Thomas," I yelled, "come and help me." Thomas was tall and strong, and he had a face that could be as grim as a hangman. He was grim now. He sat himself down in an open spot on the porch and eased the butt of his Kentucky long rifle to the ground. I never was one to beg for help. Both Kiefers were rushing me again. Their weight brought me down and crushed the breath from me. All I had left was a bruised and angry spirit. "Now, Josh," gritted Smiley, "let's hear you holler quit." They twisted my arms. The shame of defeat was as bad as the pain. I threshed and pitched. Cloudiness came over my eyes. I heard a firm voice say, "Give up."